So does your horse really have ulcers? And I say that because one of the most common things I hear from horse owners is, my horse is girthy, so he must have ulcers. And honestly, I understand why. There's been a lot of people out there that have taught things that like girthiness, poor performance, weight loss, attitude changes and problems are all signs of ulcers. But a new study in dressage horses found something really interesting that you should know. Researchers evaluated 80 competition horses and performed a gastroscopy, which is the gold standard for diagnosing gastric ulcers. Of those horses, about 69% had ulcers. Before we go any further in this study, that's a huge number. That's nearly 7 out of every 10 horses. That's a lot of horses potentially experiencing gastric discomfort, inflammation, and pain while training and competing. It's also a reminder that digestive health deserves far more attention than it often receives in performance horses. But here's the surprising part. Girth aversion was reported in 78% of all the horses, not just the horses with ulcers. The horses without ulcers were just as likely to show many of the same signs. The researchers looked at clinical signs, fecal occult blood tests, and owner observations, and they found that neither the owner's reported symptoms nor the fecal blood tests were reliable predictors of whether a horse actually had ulcers. Even more interesting, when some of the horses were re-scoped after treatment, improvement in symptoms didn't reliably predict whether the ulcers had actually healed. So think about that. A horse could seem better and still have ulcers, or a horse could still have symptoms even after the ulcers improved. And that's a really important lesson, because signs like girthiness, poor performance, weight loss, behavioral changes, they are not diagnoses, they're clues. The same symptom can be caused by ulcers, pain elsewhere in the body, inflammation, movement dysfunction, stress, poor saddle fit, dental issues, or a number of other factors. For horse owners, I think the takeaway is this. Ulcers are common, very common, too common. But symptoms alone don't tell us whether ulcers are actually present, whether they're the only problem, or whether they're even the primary problem. What this study reminds us is that symptoms should never be ignored simply because we don't know exactly what's causing them. A horse that's girthy, losing weight, not performing well, or showing changes in behavior is telling us something. Because whether the cause is ulcers or something entirely different, those changes are often the body's way of telling us that health, comfort, or function is being compromised. And the sooner we start paying attention to those clues, the sooner that we have an opportunity to support the horse before small problems become even larger ones.